What are some of the places that you can go on a day or overnight trip from Copenhagen, Denmark? So that was one of the questions that we had while researching for our recent trip. And through this video, we hope to share about our experiences organizing day trips and also overnight trips from this capital city of Denmark. And through this, we hope that it will help you as well. So strap on in. Before you decide on where to go, the first question that you probably should answer is, how do you want to get there? For us, we decided to go the private transport route, which is renting our own car, as there's 4 of us travelling, and we figured that this would be the most flexible option. And cost-wise, when split among 4 people in the same car, it's actually not too bad. So as you watch this video and you look at the all the places that we visit, just keep in mind that we drove to all of these places instead of taking public transport. So the destinations that people usually suggest as day trips out of Copenhagen are 2 castles located north of the city itself. The first castle, popularly known as the location for Shakespeare's Hamlet, is Kronborg Castle, located in the city of Helsingor, or also known as Elsinore. Overlooking the Andersen Strait, which is like a body of water where ships pass through, and just facing directly opposite of Sweden, it's no wonder that Shakespeare chose this place as a setting for Hamlet, because this place is really nice, very pretty and very scenic. The architecture of the castle itself is also quite pretty, and as you can see, this is taken from a courtyard in the middle of the castle complex. And for someone who is not really used to European castles, this is actually quite pretty and quite breathtaking. Just like stepping into a fairy tale, or in this case, Shakespeare's Hamlet. One thing I like about Kronborg Castle is that the castle gives you different places to explore, literally for these places giving a different perspective of how the castle life used to be like. My favourite is this area called the casemates, which is this empty space between the castle walls and underneath the castle, where people can go in and hide from enemies during wartime. And I would like to show you a clip that I took while exploring this area.
Wow, we are just underneath the castle. It's so crazy, oh my gosh. They left me alone. Hey, where are you all? Wow. It's like exploring the castle ruins and I'm following the signs. I don't know where should I go. And my wife left me behind. Oh my gosh. I'm freaky, but okay, I need to wash my head. Wow, this is cool. Yeah, we are underneath Kronborg Castle in Denmark actually. So this is called a casemate. They are called casemates because it's like a fortification that soldiers hide when there's war. Yes. Yeah. Ooh. Save me. Yeah, I just wanted to film this because it's just so amazing. It's crazy. I mean, this place is definitely haunted. Yeah, you have to have a flashlight. Oh my gosh, there's a hole. Wow.
It don't scare me.
Dawn doesn't like to be scared. But yeah, we're okay, we're reaching the exit, so that's good. But yes, so awesome.
The second highlight of this castle is the Grand Ballroom, which is one of the largest in Northern Europe actually. I don't remember how many stories tall it is, but this is the setting that also inspired all the concerts and grand balls that took place in Hamlet. The next highlight I would say is climbing one of the towers of this castle. So of course, there's a lot of staircase involved, so if your legs are feeling up for it, you'll be rewarded with a very nice scenic view of the surrounding city and the sea. In good weather, you can really see the sun, you can see all the blue and the sky as you can see in this photo. It's a really nice place for you to take photos and just enjoy the scenery and just the entire building of the castle. Next place I want to highlight is the chapel, which is also quite special due to its historical significance. According to what was shared with us, this chapel was one of the buildings that was made in stone and therefore, because of its material, survived a fire that occurred in the castle last time. So quite historical significant, a very small chapel, but still carries with it a lot of history in the drawings and the murals in this chapel itself. Last but not least are the royal apartments. Of course, this is at the bottom of my list because every castle you get to see it, but still it gives you a pretty good glimpse into how life used to be like in this castle when the royals used to live here. So there are some descriptions that you can read about what the castle is for and some of the historical moments behind it. So yeah, that's pretty much the different places that you can visit in Kronborg Castle. Of course, not surprisingly, this castle is on the UNESCO World Heritage Site due to its long history and ties to Hamlet. It's definitely a location that you should visit as a day trip out of Copenhagen, and for us it's our first stop on our castle trip. So right after this, we went for lunch at a nearby food hall that is nearby to this castle. Very walkable distance. There's a lot of food in this food hall, so different stalls from different countries that you can try out. So the place is called Elsinore Street Food, which is like a 10 to 15 minutes walk away from the castle. So you can see there's different stores selling different cuisines, and if you're coming with friends, you can sample food from the different stores together. And this was our lunch stop for us to fill up before we head out for our second location for the day. The second castle that people usually recommend to visit together with Kronborg Castle is a Frederiksborg Castle, located in another city called Hillerod. So the entirety of the castle complex itself is huge. Aside from the main building, there's an entire park behind the castle that we didn't get a chance to explore due to time constraints because we set up different places that we want to explore. But still, if you have the chance, you should also walk the park. But for us, we managed to only visit the main building of the castle itself, which is currently the museum, a museum that houses the largest collection of portrait paintings in Denmark. So aside from all the paintings you can see in the different castle rooms, there are several notable locations as well, and one of it is this chapel consecrated in 1617, one of the best preserved part of the Renaissance complex. It's very grand, it is very royal looking, and I think one of the most jaw-dropping chapels that I've seen, with all this golden color and all the decorations itself. Like Kronborg, there's also a great hall or like a grand ballroom in this castle, which also, again, as you can see from the walls and the ceilings, very intricately decorated, and it's like stepping back into the past where you have all these grand functions and concerts in the hall. Another special thing about this castle is this place called the Audience Chamber, and as its name suggests, it's a room where you get to meet the kings or the royalty perhaps. And what makes it special is that there's this chamber that you need to walk across before reaching the room itself. I guess perhaps to let you reflect on your life as you walk across this chamber, what you're gonna say. So yeah, it's just a small room, but the way it's positioned away from the castle is really quite special. I would say that these two castles, Kronborg and Frederiksborg, can make up as a day itself for a travel out of Copenhagen. Both castles are huge. You can spend up to 3 to 4 hours in each castle just exploring the different nooks and crannies depending on how thorough you want to be. And as mentioned, because we were being ambitious and because we were driving, we actually allocated one other place to visit, so that when we reached Frederiksborg, we didn't actually have a lot of time actually to just look at the different places. But still, I would say these two castles are great to understand the history of Denmark. As I mentioned earlier, because we were ambitious, because we were driving, we actually added in an additional item to a one-day itinerary that usually consists of just the Kronborg and the Frederiksborg Castle, which is the Esrum Kloster at Møllegård. So this place used to house a very important abbey back in the Middle Ages when Catholic faith still dominated Denmark. That was before the Reformation and everything. So the monks here are actually quite powerful, and they belong to this Cistercian order coming from France, which believe in the values of praying and working. So even though this journey took us out from our original itinerary, it was still an interesting experience because we got to see how it was like back in the days where, religion played a very important role in life, and how as history changed, all this order changed too. And this basically sums up our day trip out from Copenhagen to Kronborg, Frederiksborg castles and also Esrum Abbey. If you're taking public transport, perhaps you want to consider just sticking to the two castles. But basically, the whole point of this is that it's very doable, very easy, and that you still can have your accommodation back in Copenhagen without planning for other things. But of course, if you are feeling a little bit more adventurous and if you are feeling like you want to go to another country, then I would recommend another city which is not in Denmark, but a city called Malmo, which is located in Sweden. So Malmo is perhaps the closest foreign city to Copenhagen. You can either take train here, just a few stops via train, or just via a short drive away. Malmo is the third largest city in Sweden, and we visited this place because we want the experience of stepping into another country and perhaps try some Swedish meatball. So what makes Malmo interesting is that it used to be a Danish city until the Swedes took over it. So it's quite historical, and visiting this place you can see, both influence from the Danes and the Swedes as well. The main attraction of Malmo itself is this castle, which was built by King Christian III of Denmark. The castle is significant because of the experience they went through, changing hands between Swedes and the Danes. So one thing that I find interesting about this castle is how they have made this entire complex multi-purpose, meaning that there's several different buildings or museums sitting within the castle. So for starters, there's the Natural History Museum and the Wildlife or the Living Things Museum, where you get to see different animals, different, I think, live animals as well. And also there's also an exhibition on dinosaurs. So if you have a family, this is something that the kids will definitely like. Other than that, there's also quite an extensive art museum and art collection within the castle. So ranging from paintings, you can see different types of paintings by different painters, and there's also some art installation in one section of the castle itself, which can be quite abstract. If you like art, it's something that perhaps you can enjoy, but personally, it's something that we just went because we are there. We just took a look at it, and perhaps what I like the most about the castle is the historical portion of the museum or the castle, where they really tell the story of how this castle switched hands between the Danish and the Swedes, and how the role that the castle played during the different times as well, the war times, and also like during World War II. So it's highlight because of the historical significance of the place and the role that it plays in history. So different things you can see, and it's right smack in the middle of the city. Another thing that is unique to Malmo that you can consider visiting is this small little museum called the Disgusting Food Museum. And as its name suggests, the museum features food that is considered disgusting from around the world. One thing to note that this museum is like a boutique for-profit museum, meaning it's not entirely that big. It's mainly just one floor in a shop lot, and mainly just display foods from different culture that people would consider disgusting. However, one thing that makes the visit to this museum worth it is that you do actually get a chance to try some of the food that are on display. So whether if you are feeling brave or you just want to experience how it's like, the visit to this museum is definitely worth it, and it's something different. However, with that being said, I have to be honest to add that we weren't really impressed with Malmo itself. Granted, it's the nearest Swedish city to Copenhagen, and it's quite huge itself. There was not much special things or unique things to do here. Like with every European city, there's an old town area, there are churches, there's a very old church here. And of course, if you want, you can get to visit an IKEA here if you've not done that before. But other than that, you can eat Swedish meatballs, but other than that, we found it to be a little bit underwhelming, but nevertheless, it's still a great day trip if you really want to go out of Copenhagen to do something different, or maybe visit a different city. So Malmo will fit that bill, just for a day trip, just to visit the highlights, then you can go back to Copenhagen. The last place that is on our list of places to visit from Copenhagen is Aarhus, which is the second largest city in Denmark. Of course, this is technically not a day trip per se. It took us about, I think, 3 to 4 hours to drive here, so it's actually quite far away. And you can also reach this place by train. But we wanted to visit this place because it's something different, and we also wanted to just complete as many places as we can in Denmark. The first place that we visited in Aarhus is the Marselisborg Deer Park. I hope I got that correct. But basically, this is an enclosed area just slightly outside of the city. And the reason why we visited this place is so because it's something that's very unique to Aarhus itself. You can't find it anywhere else. And again, because we had a car, so it was more convenient for us to come to this place. But basically, what this park is a very big park actually, even though it's enclosed, where you can find deers roaming freely. It sort of reminded us of Nara in Japan, but that's the whole time. But this is like a park specifically for the deers itself. So it's quite a nice hike actually. It's very tranquil, very serene, and basically in this area you will get to see a lot of deers roaming around the area. There are different type of deers. We spotted I think green deers, quite a few of them, and it's again something that is very different aside from just visiting a city and being in nature itself. I love nature, so it's quite nice. It was quite a nice walk, even though it was winter and it was slightly raining. Of course, the highlight of Aarhus itself is this whole something like a theme park area or open air museum called Gamle. This is an open air museum, and for those of you who don't know, an open air museum is basically a collection of buildings that is housed outside. So instead of like just everything within one museum, you have different buildings out in the open, hence the name. And what makes this place special is that these buildings, it's a very big area actually, so there are different time periods that all these buildings come from, and these are actual buildings, and the time period ranges from, I think the more recent one is like the 2000s, the 1990s, 1970s, all the way to the 18 somethings. It's not just the exterior of the buildings, it's also the interiors as well. So basically what this place is like a snapshot of the different time periods of these buildings that they've lived through. So you have apartments of families or different type of unit of families living in different time periods. You can basically go in and see what furniture that they used to own, what kind of items they have inside that reflects the living conditions of that time. So the more recent ones are more decorated. It's a very interesting thing, like stepping into the past, not that far behind, but still a time capsule basically. And if you go back further, there's a back section that have all these wooden buildings, so you can see like evolving from the big buildings to the wooden buildings, and just to see like how things evolve over time. So this is a concept of the open air museum, and it's quite a highlight because the entire area is really big. There's different time periods to go through. I mean, within this area itself, there's also like mini museums, mini indoor museums to reflect the history of Aarhus, the city of Aarhus. And there are also some restaurants inside. So it's like really like a theme park, I would say, minus all the exciting rides. It's just like walking through, experiencing how different time periods used to be like. I mean, the Gamle is not the only open air museum in the Scandinavian area. There are a lot in Sweden as well. I think Finland is something that is unique to this part of the world. But still, for Aarhus, it's it's definitely one of the highlights of visiting Aarhus. The downside is that it's open air, so hence you are open to elements of the weather. So when we went there, it was raining, but because there's a good mix between indoor and outdoor parts, so sometimes we only had to walk under the drizzle for a while before we enter the building. Overall, definitely if you're visiting Aarhus, this is something that you should really go and check the timing as well. We were very lucky because it's not very crowded when we went. It's a weekday, but yes, and it's a paid attraction. You'll spend about 3 to 4 hours here. It's not too bad, and yes, highly recommended. Another place that we visited is called the Dokken, which is the city library in Aarhus. We only came here because our original destination, which is the Aarhus Art Gallery, was closed on the day that we were there, so we had no choice. But still, if you are a book lover, this is a really nice and relaxing place to come to, just to read books or just to chill out, and it's next to a river as well. There's also a food hall in Aarhus, so basically if you are thinking of something to eat but you don't know what to choose, this is a really nice place to hang out, because like other food halls around in the Scandinavian countries, it's a huge area, it's a huge seating area with different stalls available. So basically their different cuisines from around the world in this place. Also, there's also drinking places for you to drink as well. So if you are looking for a place to chill out, to eat different food with your friends, can definitely drop by here. We enjoy our place. I mean, we enjoy the choices here, although I have to say that some of the food choices here, for example, the ramen doesn't really fit into what we usually eat, but nevertheless, the vibe and atmosphere here is definitely nice. Just that, yeah, don't expect too much authenticity in the food. So yeah, basically this is our experience for Aarhus. I think maybe because of the rain or because we didn't do our research enough, we didn't really get to, in my opinion, enjoy or go in depth about a city, but nevertheless it's still an interesting experience, and we were glad to have come here just to see what Aarhus has to offer. And even though it's I think it's quite a ride away from Copenhagen, it's still a place that you can consider to visit if you want to. The last on our list for day or overnight trips from Copenhagen is Odense, which is a place located in between Aarhus and Copenhagen, and it's a pit stop between these two places, hence we visited here. It's a smaller city, definitely a smaller place compared to the two larger cities of Denmark. And when we visited here, I'm not sure whether because it's a Saturday or because it's a winter, it's generally a lot quieter. So as you can see, like this main road, this is a main pedestrian street in Odense, but a lot of the shops were closed and there were not a lot of people walking around, and we had trouble finding place to eat as well. But the reason why we dropped here was because the main attraction of the city itself, from what we understand, was the Hans Christian Museum. If you don't know who he is, he's quite a prolific writer of fairy tales. So your Ugly Duckling, your Little Mermaid all came from him. And basically the museum details his stories. Actually, we were quite surprised by the quality of the museum actually. The exhibitions were really top notch, and they provide a lot of information. It was really captivating and inspiring to learn about his story. It's really a rags to riches story. Basically someone who grew up poor, and how, because driven by his passion for writing, eventually he got success. But of course there's also sad parts to it. It's not a really happy ending. He did got success, but there's other parts of his life that had issues as well. But of course you have to come to the museum to understand. But basically it's a paid attraction, so if you pay for a museum, you also get entrance to his childhood home as well, which is a smaller part, just to see where he grew up in. So basically, yeah, so that's Odense for you. It's a nice pit stop if you want to experience a slightly different city as compared to Aarhus and Copenhagen, but in my opinion, once you have experienced one, they look kind of similar in different cities, unless you really deep dive into it to understand the differences. Of course, with Odense, there's also like I said, the main pedestrian street and the church as well, where you can visit. So yeah, if you plan to just come here from Copenhagen, you can. I'm not too sure how the public transport is like. Odense is definitely smaller, so a lot of the travel is via bus or tram or car for us. And with that, basically sums up this video of the different places you can visit as part of a day trip or overnight trip from Copenhagen. I mean, it's not exhaustive. There are definitely other places, but this is what we did based on our limited research as a first-time person coming in from very far away. So I hope this helps to give a certain idea of where to start. And as usual, if you've enjoyed this video or if it have helped you, we would really appreciate if you like or subscribe. And with that, thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.